by Hudson.
Take it easy and solve the school lunch problem with SPAM. S-P-A-M.
こんにちは、タイガークローラジオ。You are listening now. Fuck J.
You are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Number 1 in vintage computer and video game entertainment. And now your host, Critical Failure.
Yes, friends, there comes a time in every man's life where they reach over and turn on TCR. God help us. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Got a great... Try that one again, because I don't have time to go back and edit it out. Got a great show for you. We're going to kick things off with a song to be determined later. Stick with us. You're listening to TCR. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. I do have something ready for you. So this is from Chiba City Blues, and the name of the album is News Center 8. This is a vaporwave album that released a cassette tape on Palm 84, which is one of those record labels on Bandcamp. Digital copy is free. Go score yourself a copy. You can add the entire Palm 84 discography to your collection for $1.95. That's 65 albums. Whew, yeah, I know. And I ordered the tape. The tape looks pretty sweet. It hasn't shown up yet. But yeah, looks really dope. We're going to take a sample this week.
This is News Center 8.
Good evening, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. Here's what's happening.
Let's be fair, that's the intro track. That's more like, well, that's the intro. It's only a minute long. It's a bit more of a sample of what the album sounds. It's a long album. It's 21 tracks. Quite the release to get yourself a free digital copy. News Center 8 is the name of the album from Chiba City Blues. Okay, so we're going to revisit that in a while, but first let's go back to the van. I've only got 2 van casts for the week. So let's see. What do we have up first? Oh yeah, this was a really good one. This is the recap of last weekend where I went thrifting. But anyway, stick with us. We're going back to the van on Tiger Claw Radio. There we go. Good morning, everybody. It is the Monday morning van cast, the Monday edition. It is 72 degrees outside. It's gorgeous. It's time to go do my Monday at work. How's everybody doing? What a weekend it's been. Saturday, I hung out with Hemrock. He was in town. Oh, what a day that was. That was awesome. I drove down to where he was at, picked him up, and we cruised around hunting for games. What do you think we did the last time we hung out? Okay, so to break it down, the last time we chilled, we went game hunting, and I found like a huge stack of games. There was so many games, we didn't have time to get them all, because we went to the thrift store, and I got a huge stack. Then we went to the used bookstore. I can't remember if I got anything there or not. And then we went to Goodwill, and then there was like a bunch of games there too, but we just didn't have time to deal with the Goodwill people. So this time we went to the same thrift store, and I picked up a sealed copy of Epic Mickey 2 for the Wii, which is kind of funny because it had a $3 sticker on it from Walmart, and then it had a $1 sticker on it from Walmart, and then it had the $4 sticker on it from the thrift store. So it's like somebody bought that sat in Walmart until somebody finally bought it for $1, and then it sat in that person's collection unopened until they finally donated it. It's a shame because when Epic Mickey came out, the first one, it was a big deal in my house. My wife was like, yeah, this game is going to be worth playing. And we got it and played it, and I thought it was okay. You know, it was like a 3D platformer. Kind of like Mario 64, I guess, but a little bit more, not quite as charming as Mario 64. A little bit more awkward because you had to use the Wii nunchuck. But it was okay. Fun little game. So yeah, I jumped at the chance to pick up the second one. That was one thing I got. And then I hit big at the used bookstore. I got like a bunch of manuals. I love these old Prima strategy guides. I got one for Mech Warrior 2, which is really awesome. Mech Warrior 2, and then there were a couple more I got, but I can't really remember off the top of my head what they were. As far as games are concerned, the used bookstore had a lot of these Call of Duty games, and I didn't pull the trigger on too many of them again. Like, I was looking at Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, and it's like, I kind of want to get Modern Warfare 3, but I want to play it on the PC, and so I didn't end up getting those. I did get Call of Duty 3, though, because I remember looking at the Wikipedia page for the series recently, trying to make heads or tails of the sloppy release schedule they have. And Call of Duty 3 never made it out on PC. It's the only one that's console only. So I bought a copy of that for the PS2. And we hit up a Goodwill, and then I got a little handheld chess device for $1 for my son, which turned out to be like a $15 item on eBay. And I also got a tape deck, a secondary tape deck, so I can expand my cassette tape operation. Alright, more on that in a second. I'm at the grocery store now. Be right back. Alright, we are done with the grocery store. I got some bananas. I got some hot tea. I think I'm ready to rock and roll. So I was talking about, hanging out with Hemrock. Let's see, we went to, the last place we talked about was Goodwill, right? Goodwill, I got the tape deck and I got the little chess game. So that was pretty sweet. Let's see, we also hung out at, there's a My Organic Market, which if you're not from the area, I would equate it to more like a Whole Foods, I guess. One of these like organic food type places. And this one has like a little lounge in the back with some metal tables and some plants and stuff where you can sit and eat your tofu or whatever it is they sell. So this was like early in the morning. We ended up stopping there and got a couple ginger ales. And played Game Boy Advance. We played Duel Masters on GBA. And Hemrock had this pile of cables. He's like, look, I want to make sure at least one of these cables works. I didn't know which one to bring. So he pulls out this big, like, fistful of GBA cables all balled up together. Probably about the size of a grapefruit. Grapefruit-sized ball of GBA cables. So there we sat at 8 in the morning in downtown Maryland, playing GBA in the lounge of a My Organic Market, waiting for, I think we were waiting for the used bookstore to open at that point. And that was a highlight of the day, in my opinion. I enjoyed that very much. Let's see, what else did we do? We ended up playing Magic cards as well. I think we spent the rest of the day doing Magic cards, I believe. We made our way over to the LGS where they have like these great big cardboard boxes full of Magic cards for a nickel. It's like all the commons and uncommons and stuff people just discard when they're doing drafts and opening packs and stuff like that. So we were like, all right, let's build 60 card decks out of these. The lands are free. The cards are 5 cents. So it ended up being like $2.60 for a deck. I think we probably spent like a half an hour building decks, and then I got crushed, it was a good time. I enjoyed it. So that was Saturday. Sunday was hang out with the kids day, because the kids were like, where? Dad's with his friend. Why isn't he here? So come Sunday, both the kids were like, all right, Dad, now you're playing with me. So we had a good time. My son's into a Steam game called Droplets right now. That's his favorite Steam game. It's a game that you can't buy anymore. Thankfully, it's just like one I had in my collection. You have these hexagonal tiles that have different like paths on them, like pipes, and you have to rotate the tiles to make a path from the top to the bottom. Very simple little puzzle game. I think the company that sells it went bankrupt, so you can't get it on Steam anymore. Yeah, and that's his favorite game. So he spent time, let's play Droplets, Dad. I'm going to play Droplets. I want you to hang out and watch. All right, that was cool. I had some fun with that. And that was pretty much the weekend. And now here it is Monday morning. I'm off to work again. It was weird because when I woke up this morning, I already had that feeling like it was Thursday. It's like, oh, this week is dragging on. It hasn't even started yet. I haven't even got into the office to do my Monday. All right, so that's one of these warning signs that it's time to get it together and charge in. That reminds me, there was a big chunk I skipped over where we hung out in Panzer Studios. Hemrock's been asking about the Ouya lately. He was interested in seeing a review of the Ouya in 2019. So we dusted off the Ouya. We played that a little bit. I kind of gave him the rundown, and he was able to play Killing Floor Calamity, and he got a peek at the port of Final Fantasy III. What else did we play? Oh, yeah, I can't really remember. It was mostly, I guess, looking at the store, checking out the store and seeing what was there. Like in retrospect, there were a couple of games that I probably should have loaded up. But yeah, the store still functions. You can still download games and whatnot. So we got a bunch of B-roll footage for potential use in an Ouya video. That, and what else did we do? We played, of all games, we played Side Pocket on the Sega Genesis. And this strikes me as funny, because this is one of the guys that was there on the ground floor with the Retro League. So this is a guy who's like a seasoned retro gamer. And I have I don't have an enormous retro collection, but I had a decent collection. I got a box of Sega Genesis games, and I had a working Super Nintendo, and I had a working Nintendo 64. I had a Sega Saturn in the room. But no, Side Pocket for the Sega Genesis. And I think what got me to gravitate towards that game was wanted to play something from the retro box, the retro junk box. Side Pocket was one I pulled from the retro junk box like a month prior. So that was a weird game, but I did enjoy it. Very weird. I ended up playing it again like the next morning briefly after he was long gone. Good old Side Pocket. That's pretty funny. I was trying to explain the concept of Side Pocket to my kids. They were like, so it's pool, right? Yeah, that's it. You just shoot pool. He was like, well, why don't you just go shoot pool somewhere? And they were like, I could do that, but now I have it at home. They're like, yeah, but shooting pool normally, isn't that more fun? Like, yeah, but I don't have that on my Sega Genesis. I'm like, I don't get it, Dad. You're weird. And that was a little piece of truth that they uncovered. And with that, we play the game we normally like to play when I'm out here on the road and I can feel the van cast winding down. And that's this. What would I play if I were back home and I didn't have to go do my Monday at work? If I could play anything. Well, I've been playing a lot of Resident Evil lately, so much so that I'm weary of talking about it because I know it's made every show for the past month or two. But I got to play Mercenaries mode in Resident Evil 5 last night with a stranger from the boards, from the Steam forums. So that was really cool. I enjoyed that quite a bit. But I don't think I would play more Resident Evil. I honestly think I would play something else this morning. I'm interested in doing a couple things. First of all, that tape deck I mentioned earlier is untested. I kind of want to hook that tape deck up and just put some tapes in and see how it goes. That's one thing I'd want to do. As for video games, I kind of want to try out Call of Duty 3. Just picked it up yesterday. I haven't played the PS2 in a little while. I think this morning would be a good day to sit on the carpet in front of my little TV and play some PS2. Play a little Call of Duty with a controller, which would be quite an adjustment because I have a very hard time playing shooting games with a controller. I'm so used to mouse and keyboard. And I think that would be my day. I think that's a pretty simple choice for me. And with that, boys and girls, I'm going to send you guys back to the studio while I drive in and do my Monday. I'll see you guys there. We're back again in the studio. I'm going to play another track from News Center 8 from Chiba City Blues. A lot of really short collage-y type tracks from old newsreels, Weather Channel, that sort of stuff. None of the songs on here, I think, well, apart from one, none of the songs here break the 2-minute mark. So we're going to go back again, and this track is called Signing Off. So this would be the 20th song. So we're pretty deep. Not the last song, but second to last song on the album. Yes, friends, thanks for listening. We're now, 18 and a half minutes in. I just want to take a quick minute to thank the sponsors. This is a Patreon-sponsored program. Every single week, I can come back and make this happen because these guys give of their resources to make sure TCR stays online. So as a thanks, they get early access to the show, and I read their names off in a hall of distinguished gentlemen. They are Hemrock, James, Sendu, Tecmo Balls, Darabka, and Konstantin Kelman. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And let's get on with the program. All right. So we've got, how are we doing? 19 minutes in now? Okay. We've got one more van cast. I've only did 2 this week. So we're going to go back to the van for what I think was recorded on Wednesday. It's been a pretty rough week in terms of transit. I wanted to do one in the afternoon, but because of the 3-day weekend, right? It's Memorial Day weekend. The traffic was really bad, and I felt really unsafe to do a van cast. So this is what we got. All right, let's go back to Wednesday and see what's there. I'll see you guys on the other side. Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday. It's time for the van cast. It's 54 degrees outside. What happened? What happened? I thought we were going to be enjoying nice warm weather. You know, summer is on. Time to start wearing short sleeves. all that stuff, but apparently not yet. Not yet. It's nice out though, it's sunny, sun's up. At 6:16 in the morning, I can drive to work and see everything. I don't have to worry about deer, sneaking out of the woods and leaping in front of my car. Smash into them going too fast. Have it just explode into venison jerky along with the front end of my car. Yeah, not today. Now we have a nice cruise through the neighborhood. So I got up this morning to, chill out and play some video games like I always do for the first hour of my day. Get a little hot tea. So I sat down on my computer and checked my email. Poked around for a few minutes like I typically do. And I ended up moving over to the Sega Genesis. Not like an emulator, nothing like that. Like I got off the computer, sat down on the carpet, and I played my actual Sega Genesis. So for the first hour of the day, I don't tend to do that much. But today I did. And I played Side Pocket. So stupid. It's pool on the Sega Genesis, so there's not too much to say about that. That hasn't been said already. But I made a tweet about this, over on the Twitters. About I had Hemrock over at my place. It's a retro gaming legend, and what did we end up playing? We ended up playing Side Pocket, and I think Jerry responded with, "When am I coming over to your place to play Spot on the NES?" A cool Spot, I think it was, which I thought was pretty funny. So I'm not even playing it with a real controller either. I'm using the I can't remember what it's called, but it's the Sega Genesis equivalent of the it's the Sega Genesis arcade stick. Like I want to say the equivalent of the Advantage, but it's not a first party one. It's a aftermarket one. It's a good stick, but I'm using an arcade stick to play pool on the Sega Genesis. I think that's the takeaway. That was my morning. Oh, hang on. The sun is angled just so that it's right in my eyeballs. There we go. I think we're good now. It's a tough game. I'm able to make it through the first board, right? You got to get 3,000 points to move on to the second board. Second board comes, and then I tap out, and that's what happens every single game. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, I'm enjoying it anyway. Saying a game is cool and saying I'm currently enjoying it are two completely separate statements. I should clarify. Because it's not a cool game. It's pool, and it's cheesy. It has all the cheese of like a Japanese pachinko game. All the round title cards. Round 1, round 2 have like these 1980s style Las Vegas ladies. It's round 2. Come join me in round 2 of Side Pocket. Alright, give me a second. I'm heading into the grocery store, which I don't often do on a Wednesday, but I'm in a banana emergency. Alright, I have returned. What was I talking about? I can't remember what I was talking about before I stepped into the grocery store. I was talking about a banana emergency, that's for sure. We just talked about Side Pocket a little bit, I guess. Hang on a second here. I know what to do. Right, so I played Side Pocket. And yesterday evening I waddled through a little bit more through Resident Evil 4. I've almost got it beat for the first time. This is like the worst playthrough ever of Resident Evil 4. I think I've saved like 48 times at this point. I hit this part last night where you got to ride a minecart. You get on there's 3 cars in this minecart, and it's cruising along the tracks. And then at several different points, it goes through like a pier, and a bunch of the monsters jump onto the minecart. Now, if you're quick, you can shoot the monsters off of the pier before they get there. so you don't have to fight them, but you got to be real quick. And the whole sequence probably takes like 5 minutes, but it ends with a quick time event. So the problem I was having was I would get to the end, right? Well, first of all, there's 2 different places where there's like a chainsaw guy, and you got to shoot him off the pier before he gets onto the minecart. Otherwise, that's it. I don't have the gear to take care of a chainsaw guy. Those guys are like invincible. So that killed me a couple times. But it ends with a quick time event, right? The minecart jumps off the tracks, and you got to press X and C on the keyboard as fast as you can to grab on. So I died like a bunch of times, and that really pissed me off, because we're talking about like 15-20 minutes just cruising through this same minecart event over and over and over again. Finally, I get through the minecart event, I hit X and C and grab onto the end, and now it's like, now tap X to pull yourself up. Alright, tapping X as fast as I can. And then the guy lets go. No! Game over, Leon. Finally did it one last time. Got up over the edge. I was able to save, one of those typewriters. And that was it. Alt F4 out of the game as quick as I could. Yeah, terrible playthrough of Resident Evil 4. Using up all the first aid sprays, saving a million times, and taking forever. So, traditionally, if there's multiple endings, that means whatever it is, I'm gonna get the worst ending in the world. I'm gonna get an F in terms of my grade, whatever it is. I'm gonna unlock the least amount of unlocks. It ain't gonna be great, but I'll be able to play Mercenaries mode, which will be sweet. So I've never beaten this game before, so I'm trying to add another game to the list of games that I've finished in my lifetime, because it's a relatively short list. I'm gonna be honest, but that's me and good old Resident Evil again. Which I'm trying to not talk about that on the air every single week. It just keeps happening because that's what I've been playing. Still running the Resident Evil multiplayer Discord. I posted some links in the forums, the Steam forums for Resident Evil 5 and 6, and I can see people joining. Like every night I jump in and I'll hang out in the room that's just like the general multiplayer lobby. And if I'm playing single player, that's fine. I'll just hang out there. Maybe somebody will pop on and want to play. The membership is growing, but I think it's a lot of European people. So when I'm typically playing, which is like 7:30 in the evening till about 10, none of these guys are on. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning for them. So I don't know. Not looking good, but we'll see. That's still like a pet project I'm working on. Alright, so what would I do if I were back home and not driving to work with a sack of bananas? I don't know. Another thing I've been playing is Doom 2, right? I had an evening a couple nights back where I played Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch on Doom 2 with one of the guys from work. And that was a lot of fun. That's surprisingly populated. I was playing Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch, back in like 2011, maybe 2010. I remember playing that with like Gexup and Sendu and all them guys on the old Doom nights. I think that might have even been back when like Skull Tag was a thing, before it was called Xandronum. Yeah, so I'm really surprised that the whole Mega Man Doom thing is still not just available, but like it was popping. Like we were in a server that had like 20 some odd people. So 20 some odd people of team deathmatch. And just to paint a clear picture, it's class based. At least the server we were playing on. It was class based, and there were probably like 20 or 30 different classes. I ended up playing as Splash Woman from Mega Man 9, which came about just by smashing the spacebar button to go to the next class over and over and over again, and I just kind of rested on that. She's got a power where she can like heal all the people around her. So, playing Team Deathmatch, you can go into the center of a crowd of teammates and then run the heal ability. So, I had a few really good rounds, but ultimately my scores were low because I was doing the healer role in a lot of rounds. So we won a lot of rounds, but I wasn't like high on the scoreboard by any means. It was fun. It was good times. Yeah, that got me back into Doom a little bit. I re-downloaded Doom Builder and Slade. So I really only worked on it that one night, but it was elimination-based deathmatch. So what happened was I had Doom Builder open on one screen, and then I had Mega Man 8-bit deathmatch open on the middle screen. And when I would die and I was waiting, I would just go back to Doom, Alt-tab out and go back to Doom Seeker, or Doom Builder, and I would work on building my level while I waited for the next round, which was actually a really good evening. Yeah, so if I were to go back home right now, that might be a fun thing to do, is to play some Doom 2. I also downloaded a few like single player WADs, I think last night. There's a Splatterhouse 3D WAD that I downloaded, but I'm having trouble making it work. And then there's another one that's supposed to be like 4 maps, but combined into one map. It's called like the four sections or four seasons, 4 something, I don't know. The idea was you get this map, and it took the guy 300 hours to make this one map, and it takes at least an hour to play through. Sweet looking map. A lot of really detailed rooms and stuff. You can tell a lot of care went into it. So I got that thing. Yeah. Talking about it now, especially after playing Side Pocket this morning, I think a little Doom 2 is just what the doctor ordered. Maybe I'll do that this evening. But for now, boys and girls, it's Wednesday. I gotta go do my Wednesday at the office. I'll see you guys on the other side. So I talked about some of the same stuff twice. It happens. As it turns out, actually just earlier today, I sat down with this tape deck that I got, and the power cord that I got with it is not the power cord that actually goes to this unit. So I have a sweet looking tape deck and no power cord for it. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I've got to look to see if a replacement can be purchased on Amazon. Maybe I can get one, maybe I can't. The cord looks like a generic AC cord. I should be able to find one, but on the other hand, this unit's at least from the 80s. So who knows? I'll have to do some research. I put a picture of it up on Cassette Culture over on Reddit, and those guys were already able to tell me like the reputation of the model and the brand and everything. So I don't know. Here's hoping. They're saying it's a solid deck if I can get one that's working. And with that, boys and girls, let's go ahead and see what's in the fail bag. I haven't been in this week, so I'm not sure what we've got waiting, but I have a feeling it's going to be a pretty slim fail bag. It's Memorial Day weekend, and this is being recorded on Friday night, so I don't know. Bear with me here. I'm popping open YouTube. You guys know how to interact with the show. It's just me. It's just you. Let's just have some fun. All right, Tiger Claw TV. We're going to 285, which was last week. Let's see what we got. All right. Yeah. Okay. It's loading. We got 2. All right, we got one from Mecha Menace, and we got one from Balzac, an audio comment. So let's start with Balzac's audio comment, and then we'll return to respond, and then we'll read Mecha Menace.
Oh, so that Sonic the Hedgehog movie didn't impress you like everybody else, huh? Well, our favorite YouTuber, Pete Dorr, says on his latest stream that he's going to buy the earliest ticket possible for the first showing of it. So I think I have to join in with the other Manic Sonic fans to see this monstrosity of a film that's going to be coming out this November, which, I don't know. I think I'm expecting the Super Mario Brothers movie again, where it's probably not going to be a good movie, but it's just probably going to be fun to watch just to see somebody's weird take on, a beloved video game mascot. But so yeah, that's going to be something. But speaking of which, I think I heard recently on a TCR a few episodes ago that you didn't like a movie at all from the past 10 years, or, a movie that was made in the past 10 years. You'd never liked one. But didn't you like The Disaster Artist? Didn't that come out back 2 years ago or something like that? That was like 2017. That's a recent movie. But I think I can understand your feeling a bit. A lot of these movies nowadays, they're like, I don't know. A lot of superhero movies, I'll just say. I used to be into that back when I was younger, but not so much anymore. Oh yeah, speaking of which, of recent movies, I guess you didn't watch this Detective Pikachu movie that came out a few weeks ago, so I have to ask, any, interest into seeing that since Sonic already is going to be coming out soon? I was going to originally try to see it maybe with some people, but from what I heard, there's no Pokemon battles in this movie at all, which is really baffling. I don't know why you would make a Pokemon movie and not focus it on, having battles, Pokemon battles. That's the whole reason that, Pokemon's even fun. Or, the cartoon was, or the anime was at least. But I think I'm just going to wait it out and then get it through illicit means when this movie comes out on home video. So that's something. And speaking of which, oh yeah, last time I sent an audio comment, I was talking about the PSIO, how I just ordered it, and this was back in November. The PSIO, the PlayStation Flash card, if you couldn't tell. Well, anyways, I got mine recently, back in early April, then I had to send in my console to Stone Age Gamer for them to modify it. So I just got it back recently, and I'll just say it does exactly what it says. You can play whatever game you want on the actual hardware, so you don't have to really worry about emulation problems. But one game that I really wanted to play was Spyro Year of the Dragon, which it already has an emulation problem that they said they're fixing, so I don't know when that's going to get fixed. But try to go to the first world, the game automatically freezes, so gotta, look into that to see if I could get that fixed or not. But for what I paid, which is I paid $120 for the unit itself, then I paid $70 to get it modified. The reason why that's so expensive was because the $40 is what it cost for the actual modification, and then $20 for me to ship it out to them, and then another like $7 for taxes. So that ended up being like $70 for the whole thing. So in total, and then I guess I paid $30 for my PlayStation unit I actually bought. So in total, this whole thing ended up costing me about $200. But I think it's kind of worth, or no, more, or maybe probably more than that, but I think it's worth it because, flash cards usually cost like $70, and these things are apparently, it takes a while for you to get them, so, I don't know. I think it's worth it. It's okay. I have a full-time job, so I can kind of afford this, but for people like you, whose income is going to other things, besides yourself and other people that are, like, really, strapped for cash, I wouldn't really recommend it that much. And, yeah, you said you recently got into Guitar Hero because you got a cheap guitar. So I was wondering, did you ever get into any, what was it, rhythm games that used? I think you said you got into D-Pad Hero a couple years ago, but one of the rhythm game I'd recommend that's on a console that you don't need any accessories for is called Amplitude. It's for the PS2 and it only costs like $2 to get, and it's really fun. Like, I didn't know about this game until like a few years ago, but you should definitely check it out if you could get a hold of it. Because, I don't know, it's a really fun game. It's like Guitar Hero, except look up some videos on YouTube, but don't let it fool you into thinking that it looks boring, because when you actually try it yourself, it's a fun game, and you get to experience, like, early 2000s music again, since this game was released back in 2003, so it was using the hottest music from probably, like, the early 2000s, so it's good to revisit that kind of stuff. And, I remember you said on a few episodes ago, you were calling me out about the Japan arcade scene over there, since I went to Japan a few like 2 years ago. Well, sadly, I wasn't really able to spend that much time in the arcades. I was only able to spend like maybe at most 2 hours because the group well, I guess it was also my fault where we did a lot of poor planning, so we were kind of rushing through a lot of things to get through because we're my group in Japan because we wanted to see as much as we can before we left. So I didn't see that much, but from what I saw, there is a lot of I went in Tokyo. There is a lot of arcades, especially there's like a few buildings where the whole thing is dedicated to like arcade games. But just to let you in, a lot of the arcade games, like fighting games and shmups, they only take up like a floor. Like the one of the arcades I went to was 6 floors, and games that were arcadey only took up like 1 or 2 floors, and the rest of the floors were taken up by rhythm games and crane games. But those are pretty fun too. Like the rhythm game, I got really into. You probably know what Taiko drum beat or the Taiko game, the drum beat Guitar Hero game. That was really fun. And I got into like this weird piano game that sensed your fingers. That was really good. So if you go to, if you really want to have an arcade, fun in an arcade, go to Japan. But really don't expect too many like arcade games that Sega used to make back in like the 90s and 2000s. So that's my take on it. And I guess I'll end it with, it's already May 21st, so you know what that means. E3 is just around the corner. So any E3 predictions? Any expectations? My answer, obviously, Shenmue 3. That's a big one since apparently Deep Silver recently released a press release saying that they were going to show off Shenmue 3 over there. So that's one I'm excited for since Shenmue 3 gets released in 3 months. And I guess me and you will have we'll be able to be excited for this. But Final Fantasy VII Remake, they're going to actually announce details about it this time, this E3. So that's something to look forward to. And then everything else, I don't know. But that's already 2 things. So that's like way more than what was last E3, which was 0 things I was excited for after the show was over. And I think they're unveiling the next generation of consoles there, but I don't know if I'm really excited for that because that means I might have to buy new hardware, which I don't really know if I want to do that or not. Drop $400 on another console since I waited 3 years for the PS4, but even then I still had to pay like $400 because I got the Pro unit instead of the regular one. Okay, well, I guess that's it for my audio comments, so I'll see you on the next one.
Balzac, my man, always good to hear from you. So I got some notes here based on that, and let's see what we can do. Let's start at the beginning. The Sonic movie looks bad. Sometimes movies look bad and can still be fun, but this is a movie that I think has garnered the ire for very good reason. It's not just that it looks bad, the trailer was also cut very poorly. Like, think of it this way. You could think of like a really good, fun movie. If you cut it to Gangster's Paradise from Coolio, it's still going to look bad. So we have a movie that looks bad, and that badness is amplified by the fact that the trailer is cut very poorly. So there you go. I'm usually the first one to push against the crowd and try and think different and say something different. But I think it's okay to agree with the crowd on this one. It looks bad, and yeah. Let's see. Superhero movies, yeah, they don't really interest me anymore. It didn't have anything to do with politics, because I know they kind of politicized them over the last couple of movies or so. I hear people connecting superhero movies with politics. That wasn't what got me out of it. I can't remember. I can't remember what actually made me lose interest, but I can tell you the last time I sat down and watched one of those movies and really enjoyed it was I think it was Captain America, like the first Captain America movie. And then later on I watched Thor Ragnarok with my father-in-law, and it was okay, but I was like, the whole time I was watching, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of over this whole craze. You know what's funny was I remember being a kid and watching some peripheral Marvel movie that just happened to have Jubilee in it, and thinking that was the awesomest thing, being able to see Jubilee on the big screen. Because, like, she was one of the comic book heroes from the X-Men that I knew, versus now, where it's just like, oh, they're all on the big screen. Every single one of them that you can think of, they're all up there. You know? back then when they just kind of teased it just a little bit, just enough to get you excited. Yeah, so that is what it is. All right, moving on. You also talked about the PSIO. That's expensive gear, man. Enjoy it. I hope you're playing something worthwhile. Play Misadventures of Tron Bonne. Play Xenogears. Play something good. Don't be playing Namco Museum. Unless you have Namco Museum and you really like it, then by all means play Namco Museum. I'm like looking over at my PlayStation collection to see if there's anything I can personally recommend. Imports, maybe? I don't know. I'm interested to see what it is you put into that to make it worth it, or how you end up spending your time with that thing. I would be interested to know how it goes down. Because right now, for me, when it comes to the PS1, I've got a couple of imports, just silly little import pachinko games. But it would be cool to play them on official hardware, because like I played them on emulators. I have an emulator for the computer that'll run them, and I just put them in the CD drive and run them right off of it. And they're okay, but it's not the same. Like some emulators I use, and it's like, okay, there's nothing wrong with this. Playing an NES game on an emulator, I've got no problems. That's pretty close to me. But for something about the PlayStation, I don't know, it just seemed pretty far away from the actual experience. Who knows? Yeah, that's the PSIO. You talked about Amplitude. I looked that up. It was more than a few bucks. Not a lot more, but we're talking like $10 or so. Unless I look and have to stock it and find one. But thanks for the heads up. I have really been enjoying rhythm games. I was like on the verge of going down the rhythm game rabbit hole before I got sucked into this whole Resident Evil fix that I'm in right now. Then you talked about your Japan trip a little bit. And arcades, that's awesome. I don't know anything about Japan except that I love pachinko. And I would love to go in to a pachinko parlor and then blow a bunch of money. I would love to do that. I don't know if I can justify traveling to Japan to do that. But if I ever find myself there on business, it's something on my bucket list, something I want to do before I die. Now we have E3. The funny thing about E3 is I always say, like, I don't really care about E3, but I care enough to bring it up every single year. Every single year E3 rolls around, I'm always like, all right, everybody, just a reminder, I don't care about E3, and I want to throw that out there and mention it, just so that everybody knows where we stand on this. I do know that this year Terraria there's gonna be a big announcement from the Terraria people, Relogic. So we'll see. I have no idea what that's going to be, but when it comes to E3, I don't know. A lot of announcements at E3 at this point. I'm like, think of it this way: like if Bethesda was like, "All right, we're gonna put out The Elder Scrolls Part 6 in 2 weeks, and it's gonna be free, and it's gonna be 700 hours," and if whatever the coolest thing you could imagine, we could see it announced at E3, and it could never happen. So I don't hold, I have to take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to E3. I find it very difficult to get excited about it, Big companies make big promises, and then big promises lead to their fair share of disappointments. So why bother when I can just play the games I have already? So that's all my notes from the audio comment. So Balzac, those are always a treat. I really do appreciate it, man. So thanks a lot. And we got one from Mecha Menace. And after the Mecha Menace one, I'll have to check the back end to make sure nobody's being suppressed. He says, at 52 minutes and 11 seconds, it wouldn't surprise me if my what's on my shelf /Mecha Menace comments are shadow banned. YouTube doesn't want me dishing out the truth. Not so long ago, I heard people in the industry saying PC was the way of the future. How could it lose? It's a single platform. Gamers invested too much in what essentially is a store to point where they feel divided when new stories pop up. Holding exclusive content. Gamers should divest themselves from these one-stop shops, which provide store and community features that rely on third-party integration, as you suggest. It would fare better than Valve, EA, Epic, GOG, and whoever wants to jump on the bandwagon of selling games. They could license integration. the stores could just concentrate on making deals with publishers to get better deals for deals in their store. Ultimately, a gamer shouldn't care whether to buy a game from Valve, EA, or Target. The only issue with this solution is that it will most likely cost PC gamers money, such as a subscription cost. They're not used to paying for access to a service. That feeling of, why isn't this free anymore, spilled over to console games, but now most accepted. You know what? Ironically enough, I'm glad you brought this up, Mecha Menace, and I'm going to go here now, but just today, I saw an announcement that the GOG Galaxy client is getting a facelift. GOG Galaxy, when it comes to these storefronts, in my opinion, was a huge disappointment, because they had a real opportunity to like fill the gap and provide some of the fun stuff that Steam provides without like it being mandatory, and that isn't really what we got. There were a lot of gaping holes in it. Certain games didn't work. You can't set yourself to invisible mode. Very, very, very few games have achievements. There isn't really any community integration. It's just the same old forums. Excuse me. So now, supposedly, in their Galaxy 2.0 client, one of the main bullet points is easy integration from other platforms. So that is the first bullet point. Import all your games from PC and consoles. Build and organize them into one master collection. And then the third point is the same thing. Install and launch any PC game you own, no matter the platform. So we're already seeing these storefronts using a platform integration as like a selling point. So yeah, hey man, I like. I'm gonna go ahead and sign up for this beta because I want to see this client for sure. I like PC games. You know, I liked GOG as a company, and I have some great games from them that you simply can't buy anywhere else. So I would like to see them take a big leap forward in their client. Yeah, I feel pretty closely related to what you're saying. You're talking about how we shouldn't be invested in the companies. I agree. I completely agree. It takes a little bit of self-awareness to not be invested in the company. Like, I really had to think hard about what it is I liked about Steam, and I figured it out. I like getting a weekly stats report, which is, by the way, reporting, right? And especially like a stats report in the business world, that's big money. Okay, so getting a report delivered, there's a whole profession there. Business intelligence, right? Database analyst. That's what all what that is. So getting a report, what have I been playing, was important to me, especially since I've long said that's a decision I use to determine whether or not I should buy games. Am I going to be able to get an hour on the dollar for this game if I buy it? So that plus where are the other human beings? Are they using this platform? Can I get in touch with them? Those are really the two things that determine. So if I'm going to play a single player game, it doesn't really matter so much. That's why, I'm not a fan of EA. I don't like Origin that much, but buying the Command and Conquer games, I had no problem doing that because they had them at a fair price. And when it comes to Command and Conquer, I just like to play my single player campaign. That's all. So it didn't really matter. Not such a big deal. By the way, I hope I said this on the air at some point. If you're still listening at 54 minutes in, EA is giving away Sims 4. So I would recommend you go pick it up. Their DLC is so expensive, they should have probably done this from the beginning. But they did this with Sims 2 several years back. And after they gave it away, it disappeared forever. And you can't get Sims 2 on any digital distribution service at all anymore. So if you're hearing this and there's still time, go get yourself a copy of Sims 4. Get it added to your EA account. All right, my man. Sendu from Light Studios writes, maybe we need a client for our clients. Yeah, a launcher for our launchers. That would be the MS-DOS solution. Let's write a shell script and get a simple text-based launcher. We can do our integration that way. We can do it ourselves. I can manage all the different storefronts by writing a script in QBasic and running it in DOSBox. I know there's issues there with that statement, but wouldn't that just be the irony? To write a QBasic shell script? Alright, and just before we wrap, I'm taking a quick look at the back end. Alright, we get a couple from Sendu on some old episodes. 284 looks like he listened to. He said, I can make more of an effort to keep up, but I think we're both enjoying the backlogs. Yeah, man, don't feel like you have to keep up with TCR. TCR is not a homework assignment. I'm just glad you're listening, my man. Then he writes, instead of 3 monitors, have you considered just getting another flat screen and using it as one big monitor? My older brother did that. You have to adapt to using windowed mode, but you get more screen space and use less wires. You know what? I have thought of that, but there's issues with... first of all, one of my monitors is 3:4 ratio, right? So I don't have 3 widescreen monitors. I have one that's the old style. It's nice and big, but it has the old aspect ratio. And the reason I do that is so that I can force... Like if I'm going to play an old game, I can force it onto that one monitor, and it'll look fantastic. Secondly, I just like it split up this way. I typically, like if I'm going to play a regular game, I'll put it on the monitor in front of me, which is widescreen. The left one, which is shorter, I can use to have a video or run a music client. And then on the right-hand monitor, I can put all my social tools, you know, like Discord or Steam Chat or whatever it may be. So I've gotten used to the 3 monitors. I've been using them at work for a very long time. So that's what I like to have at home. It looks like that's it. Hang on a second here. Well, you know what that sound means, boys and girls. That's the show. Whatever's brought you here 56, 57 minutes in. Thanks for spending some time with us and hanging out. And as you move forward into your week, especially after this long weekend, I hope you guys are hanging in there and making the best of it. And I hope it goes well. I'll see you guys next Monday. Have a good one.